Hi, my name's Ethan Lawrence.
This is Jesse Leach from Killswitch Engage.
Hi, I'm Scotty Wartooth.
Hi, my name's Sean Smith.
Hi, my name is Desha Kiva.
This is Ryan McCombs from the band Soil.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is the Raging Cajun Lash LaRue.
Hi, this is Rob Piper, the guitarist of UK hardcore punk band Darko, and you're listening to the Chronicles of Podcast with Tom and Jamie.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 135th edition of the Chronicles of Podcast. And these right here are the Chronicles of Darko. It is I, Jamie, and joining me as always this week, it's this handsome fella right here.
It's only the birthday show as well.
Yeah.
Shall we go? Hit it!
Ladies and gentlemen, this week we are bringing you a wonderful guest. This week's guest is a member of a hardcore punk band who've been bringing you kick-ass music for over a decade. Here to talk all about their latest EP, Greyscale. Look, I know you want to hear their story, so I will leave you in the Darko no longer. Put your hands together as we welcome Rob Piper as we bring you the Chronicles of Darko.
Hey, thank you very much. Yeah, that's a nice Darko pun.
I was quite proud of that.
Either, so that's good. It's nice to hear the band name in a pun form.
Considering I'm horribly sleep deprived, I'm quite proud of that.
Still. Anyway, Rob, how's your personal Thursday been?
Personal Thursday. Great. Yep. I was teaching at school today, so
Oh, nice.
teaching the hardcore kids of the future, but
Oh,
with a minimal amount of hardcore teaching. But yeah, it's very enjoyable. I've got a great bunch of students on a Thursday, so all good.
so
Guitar,
are you a music teacher, as in like in a school setting, or you're a guitar teacher that goes into schools to teach people?
the latter, yeah. I do guitar, drums, saxophone, bass, and
Saxophone?
yeah.
That's amazing. That was a curveball.
I guess it is compared to. It is a bit of a curveball, but it's definitely. Well, it was the instrument I didn't start on literally, but I mean I played it before I played guitar, so it was part of my musical journey. And if it wasn't for Dave Brubeck and Take 5 and playing a few jazz pieces, then I wouldn't have kind of started an interest in music. I think playing in a band with my mates was the one that made me stick at it, but
That's
saxophone.
awesome.
We love saxophone.
I sort of feel like hardcore music needs saxophone now. You've put the idea in my head. It needs it.
I mean, Darko does exist, and whether they like it or not. But
Scarcore exists? I've never heard of that before. Now I know what I'm Googling as soon as we get off this.
Definitely some great bands. Beat the Red Light, who are now redeeming from High Wycombe and stuff. Bunch of we played with Random Hand quite a lot. Hardcore ska bands. There we go.
That's
So
amazing.
there's a place for it, but yeah, no, there were for the time being no saxophone in Darko.
For the time being. But Rob, before we talk all things Darko, take us back to the days of your youth, young Master Piper. What did you want to be when you were growing up? Has it always been music for you, or was it something completely different, like astronaut? I don't know.
Good question. Definitely not astronaut. I was always into creative side of things like art or music. I guess I assumed I would be doing something academic just to kind of work in an office and be a person. I don't know, earning money. I don't know. There was definitely a part of me when I went to college and I was just like, I'll do maths, electronics, and business studies, but I didn't really have a focus on what I would end up doing. But as I said, I was always had music as the kind of creative side of things. And when when I had a few mates who were playing or who had played other instruments, i.e. drums, and I was playing guitar, and we were having jams of Rage Against the Machine and I don't know, those sort of tunes and the new metal and early Green Day and whatever. I was just like, this is definitely something for me. And yeah, once I just did my A levels and didn't do so well, I decided to go to ACM in Guildford and just focus on music. So that was when I was about 19. So yeah, and then from then on, been focused on music and yeah, I guess the music business side in a way with the label. But I don't think there was any. Yeah, the short answer is I didn't have a fucking clue really what I was doing until I really. I just at first I just didn't think music was going to be a viable option to do as the be all and end all. I probably just assumed that it was always going to be like a little hobby, which I guess it is, but it's also my career as well. So it's a nice combo to have.
It's one of those ones, isn't it? It's like you hear your favorite musicians, you're like, I'd love to do that one day, but it's just a pipe dream. It's never going to happen. But the odd people like yourself, they work at it and they make it happen. So yeah.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is diversifying. I mean, a lot of yes, I mean, well, I say a lot, but some musicians don't like to put all their eggs into teaching. They'd be like more into doing function work and stuff, and I'm less into the whole function work and doing covers. Unless it's like a one-off thing. I prefer to do a bit of teaching and then playing originals bands for sure. And yeah, that's more my vibe. I mean, and you can do a bit of everything, but you have to be kind of open-minded, do a bit of everything, do as many instruments as you can to keep the work in, because it's competitive, but it's doable.
So who has really influenced you then? Like, what your parents listened to when you were a wee boy?
My dad listened to a lot of jazz, and yeah, that's what I brought up. I don't know if it was going to be on actually a recording, but we were talking about like the saxophone and Dave Brubeck. So Time Out by Dave Brubeck and like Take 5 is all over the shop with when you're on the adverts, and it's like a super famous track. But actually, if you're looking back for the time, it was 5/4 in pop music, and like that's it. I didn't really kind of know what I was listening to as such until I started studying it a bit further. But like I always was drawn to the odd time signatures and the slightly crazy bits of jazz, which made you go, oh, okay, cool, that's a bit different. And taking that then past, once I was in my early teens and my mates were listening to the punk bands and stuff like that, like pop punk bands, and I guess that was what early 2000s, so Fat Records era, Epitaph Records era, and then you had all the new metal bands as well. I was just like really into the alternative scene, kind of put jazz kind of aside for a bit. I still enjoyed it. My dad was playing it, but I was at that age where I was just like, right, I need to find my own language of music now, and that's what we were playing. So yeah, with Darko, there's when I'm writing for it, there's definitely like the metal and the punk aspect of it, kind of the jazz and slightly odd progressive side of it is from listening to loads of music that makes me think a bit and trying to fit that in whilst keeping a hardcore vibe.
Right. So what was it about the guitar? Because you just said you played drums, saxophones. What was it about the guitar when you will be my weapon of choice? You will be what I take into my career.
Yeah, good question. So I guess like it as a more like you go into school and you do music lessons, and I started off on playing the flute actually for a bit, and then I was as a young boy, which is really sad now, and I feel like I hope that this isn't the case anymore. I guess there's less classical wind instruments out there, but I didn't want to walk into school with a flute because I didn't think it was cool. I didn't think it was very masculine, and I felt like it was. I would get a rap for it because it was a flute and it was just dainty and like that. But and then watching Anchorman when I grew up a bit, and seeing him do that jazz flute solo, I'm like, God, I missed the trick. If only I'd stuck at it, I could be good as Ron Burgundy. But as an answer to that, at the time, my parents were pretty supportive and they encouraged me, and we borrowed a saxophone for a bit, and then I got a saxophone, so I was doing sax instead, which I felt was a bit cooler, I guess. So I played sax, but one of my mates in school, he had just got a drum kit, and his older brother played guitar. So he was just like, "Do you want to come around my house? I've like drop D tuned this guitar, so all you have to do is put one finger on the fretboard." So I hadn't really played guitar, but I just got taught that I could just play with one finger and then just hammer it with a plectrum for a bit. So I borrowed his brother's guitar and he was learning drums, and then we would jam most nights of the week. And then I started, my mum had an old nylon string acoustic, so I just asked to get that out of the cupboard and then tried to learn some songs on that. And I realized I just wanted to be in the band. So it was the thought of creating a band and being in this rock band that made me go, well, I'm going to be the guitarist here. So, and then we had a few other. It was quite cool in school because there's a couple of guys who were all playing. So I play if I needed to play sax, I'd play sax, and it was like a ska band when we do a couple of ska songs. And then after a while I'd play bass guitar because there wasn't a bass player, so I just kind of fit in there. And then once I started getting a bit better at guitar, they were like, "Oh, you might as well be the guitarist." And then funnily enough, around that time, the other guitarist from Darko, Chris, he was in that group of mates, so I've been playing guitar with him for a long time, let's say. I don't know what the maths is, but it's 20 years at least, maybe more.
Wow.
But yeah, not always in the one band, of course, but yeah, since we went to school and met in like year 9 or year 10 in secondary school, and we've been jamming together since then. So yeah,
that's amazing. So Darko first released music in 2010, but how long before then did you guys meet and get this whole party started?
It wasn't too long before. So as I said, in 2006 I started the music course and about end of 2006 into 2007 I was studying with Dan Smith, who is the original singer from Darko. He had moved over from Australia. He is his parents, his mum's Australian and his dad's English, so he could move over, and he could stay in England. He didn't have to. He wasn't given like a certain amount of time, so he's over here. And he was wearing a Lagwagon t-shirt, and it had been a good couple of years since I'd played that sort of skate punk, because we were getting into Mastodon and Meshuggah and seriously like dark death metal. And I think around that time I was opening up to a bit more of everything again, but there was definitely a year or so before that where I was just listening to anything that had like vocals that you couldn't really discern what they were saying, and if there was any singing in it I was just like, nah, that's rubbish. The whole time. And I just really delved into that, like, death and doom and that side of metal, because I just got really excited by it in my later teens. So but yeah, met Dan. We both were into skate punk a few years before, or like in the years before, so we were like, oh, that'd be really fun to just go back and rekindle that kind of vibe again. And it took us a couple of years to get the band going. It started off as a concept, at the pub, and then a year or so we jammed, getting the songs together. And it was 2010 was when at the end of 2009 we recorded the first selection of songs, and then 2010 we released it. And we had found it wasn't the original recording drummer, but we found Andy, who is now drumming in our in Darko. Just after we released that EP, he came to one of our gigs and started chatting to us, and he was really into like the double time drumming, and he's the best double time drummer I've ever met. Like playing with him is just like perfect for the style, just fast hardcore. He's just got it down. So yeah, that was after that EP he joined. And Carl, the bass player, he had joined literally as we were in the studio in 2009 because we had a band together who were happy to be in a band with us, but didn't really know or didn't share the ideals of what the band was about. Like it needed to have like a Fat Wreck Epitaph vibe, but with hardcore elements in it. And I think, yeah, once Carl and Andy joined, we all knew what we were going for, basically. And then, yeah, 2010, just after that first record was released, I felt like we were in a band and everybody had the same focus. And then it wasn't until that 2012 EP where it was just like, this is going in the direction that we intended when we started, rather than trying to force something.
Incredible. I mean, I like to ask this question because I'm always intrigued by what came first. The name, Darko. How did you come up with it? But what did you have before? Because I always like to know what, people come up with and go, no, don't like that. No, don't like that. That's great.
Oh my God. I couldn't even tell you. I remember sitting, we were sat in my student accommodation bedroom. It's just the room with a laptop out, just writing down every single name under the sun that we could think of, like the chicken conspiracy. It was just like, those 3-word names that everybody's using at falling for something or blah blah blah, all these like 3-word ones, and like the and we were trying different things and then doing logos and seeing what worked, and nothing was sticking. And it was a Donnie Darko case. The DVD case literally just stopped going around the room until he just said, "What about Darko?" I was just like, okay, cool. Well, it's like, it's kind of fun. It's easy to remember because it's one word. It has like, it's definitely got an angry element, which the music we wanted with the music, like an angry but fun element, because the O at the end kind of changes the O to Darko. I don't know, yeah, seemed to work. So yeah, that's how it came up. And then we were like, do we like it? Don't know, but we'll stick with it. And then, after a while, people just remembered it and it got associated with us when we were in the local scenes. So like, kind of stuck. Little did we know when we went to Eastern Europe in like 2012, 2013 and onwards, we were extensively touring Europe, and then we would sell T-shirts to chaps who were like, "Oh, that's my uncle's name," and it's a very common name in Slovenia and areas like that. So people would start buying the T-shirts because it was their name. But yeah, it was from a Darko DVD case. And it did end up conspiring that there's a band called Slick Shoes, who were a 90s punk band, who you could compare to the style that we were doing. Yeah, people were like, oh yeah, they had a song called Darko, so surely you named yourselves after that. And I was just like, wow, it wasn't that simple, but yeah, kind of. If you want, there's other comparisons to be we could have made up, but yeah, no, it was as simple as a Donnie Darko DVD case. So if I didn't have it in my collection, then we probably wouldn't have been called Darko.
I mean, great film as well, so it works.
It is a great film. It is a great film. There you go. And it's like kind of unusual, makes you think, definitely dark. Yeah.
I just love the fact that it was like, we'll use this for now. You're like, oh fuck, we're stuck with it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And we found that people who there was like at the time, because we were spending a lot of time, we were studying music, and there was a lot of musicians around, and lots of people were starting bands and ending bands. There was like bands left, right, and center, and ourselves, we were doing side projects as well. And everybody did remember that name, like all like our friends and peers at college. They were like, "Oh yeah, how's Darko going?" and stuff. No, whereas some others were like, "Oh yeah, what's that band called again?" So we're just like, "Well, it's working." So.
I love the idea of the fact that if you didn't have it in your collection and you had like Happy Gilmore or Caddyshack or something, you'd be like, Gilmore sounds good. We'll go with Gilmore.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Yeah, all those Pink Floyd fans hoping for a David Gilmour record, didn't you?
So you just mentioned that Tom's quite new to the band as well. How did Tom come to join the band?
Okay, so Tom played in a band called Almeida, who we met in 2000 to about 2011, and they'd been going for a few years before that. They were based in Southampton at the time. They were at Southampton Uni, and we had released Darko, which was the self-titled EP in 2010, and 2011 we had done another single, I think, one or two tracks since then, but we were basically trying to tour the UK, so just playing with similar bands. So we found them on MySpace, did a gig swap, and yeah, classic site. They're just trawling through MySpace, finding a fast punk band or fast hardcore band, and be like, "Oh, do you want to play in Guildford?" I think probably was if we can come down and play Southampton. So Tom was the lead singer of Almeida. Did a couple of shows with him, got on with them really well. We definitely shared taste in music. And then for years afterwards, we had done various shows with them. We did a tour with them. Actually, that was an Eastern European tour as well. We toured across Europe into Czech Republic, and did we do Bulgaria? That area, can't remember, lots of shows a while ago now. But yeah, so yeah, spent a lot of time. Oh, we toured Japan with them as well. We did a Japanese tour with Darko and Almeida in 2016, I believe. No, 2018, which was awesome. So yeah, that's simple terms. We were mates with him. And then 2020, the beginning of 2020, Darko were booked to go to Canada. We were booked to tour Italy. We were booked to do various things. And then, what happened. Everything got cancelled. At the time, Dan, our original singer, had visited his parents in Australia. And then he was stuck out there. And as lockdown went on, he decided that actually being stuck out there wasn't so bad, and it had been over 10 years since he had lived out there, and he actually was enjoying it again. And he was waiting to get a job. He thought also if he had come back mid-lockdown, he would have had to move back to London where he was living. It was a struggle to start off again, because he was meant to spend three months back in Australia, but yeah, he's still there. So I think it was end of 2020, he dropped me a message and said, look, I've just realized that this is probably going to be where I'm staying for a bit. Obviously that's not going to work out with the band. We don't even know what's going to happen. We were in and out of lockdowns left, right and center. Like, who knows, we could have, whether the band was going to tour again. But yeah, so he parted ways with the band, and then we decided to carry on with his with his good word. He was to say, yeah, if you want to carry on Darko, so be it. I'm very fine with that. And I'm pretty sure, I don't know whether this is true now because it's so long ago, I'm pretty sure he name dropped Tom because he's friends with all of us. He was just like, why don't you ask Tom? We knew that Almeida was kind of slowing down a little bit. They'd lost a few members. They were less active as they had been. So I just pretty much messaged Tom, said, look, Dan's staying in Australia. Do you want to stand in and join us, and sing for us? And he was super excited by it. And we were doing like writing sessions on Zoom. So we would send him like tracks. He would workshop them, and then like we would discuss them over Zoom, just like, a call like this. And then we got like 16, 17 tracks written before we could even have a proper jam in the same room, before we could be in the same room. So that was like energizing for us, considering we were like getting ready to be like is this calling it a day? Because we can't do anything. We
Mm.
can't play gigs. Nobody's vibes to do much anymore because we're not doing the band. But yeah, as soon as Tom said he was up for it and started writing stuff with us, then yeah, the energy rekindled. And in the process, we had written or started to write Sparkle, which is our first EP we released with Tom in 2022, and Greyscale had the songs on Greyscale were starting to come together at that point as well. So we'd like done quite a lot of songs, but then we decided that it would work better for us to then take groupings of all these songs that we'd got and really focus on them and release them as EPs, so we could really focus on, you know, like developing them rather than trying to do one album in one go, and taking another 5 years to get it all together. So yeah, we worked on the first 4. Sparkle came out, and it was new, you know, like we had a lot of people who expected something similar to Dan, who some people were really excited by it because Tom's a different singer. Yeah, we got mixed reactions to begin with, but you know, by the time that Greyscale came out, I think people, you know, knew that Tom was here and that's what was going to happen. So yeah, I'm really pleased with that. And then we've got another 3rd EP, which is we're going in the studio very soon, and we'll be releasing that at the beginning of next year. So the idea is all 3 of them are going to be in this collection, like 3 EP collection.
It's really cool. I like the idea of, instead of doing an album, doing 3 EPs that sort of fit together.
Yeah,
I like it. It's a really cool idea.
it was nice, and like inspired by, I guess, like what Claudio Sanchez does with Coheed and Cambrian, try and weave a narrative through various releases just to make, you know, for the fans who do care, it's quite exciting. And like I'm into, you know, like, you know, that this comic book stuff and the, you know, and the concept. Some concept albums can be a bit too much, but you know, like, you know, having little Easter eggs in your music, and there's references to Sparkle and Greyscale musically, lyrically. You know, we've got Orcs 1 on Sparkle, Orcs 2 on Greyscale. The artwork's done by the same artist, which is Helena Smith, who's based in Ireland. She's a watercolor artist, and she has done custom artwork for both EPs, and it just looked beautiful. And together, like, the records just work, but they're juxtaposition, you know, that Sparkle's bright green with a big Atlas moth butterfly type thing on the front, so it's like a moth, but it's got beautiful wings. And then the second one's a decaying apple, but it's still the same style artwork, and it just complements each other. So yeah, I'm just really pleased with how they've come out, and I'm really excited to get the 3rd one going as well to complete it. So
I love that. My next question was going to be, how are they linked together? And you just answered it straight away. Like,
yeah,
I didn't even need to ask the question. It's fucking great.
I realised that the question was like, how did Tom join the band? And I've gone off on a bigger tangent than I need to, maybe. But yeah.
We love tangents.
We do love tangents.
We love tangents. So you're all good.
So before we do talk about the new EP, we always like to discuss the creative process in a band. So are you guys like music first and lyrics, or lyrics then music, or something completely different?
We have been at this time, but I think it's just the manner of like what we'd, yeah, I mean, like from the offset of Darko, just because myself and Chris write a lot of the music. Chris is the other guitarist, and what we'd do is like either one of us would write a guitar riff or something, jam around, program some drums to it, put it all together, go into GarageBand, and you know, like get a rough song structure. Then at the time we'd go to Dan, or like sit down together and try different ideas over the top. And that's kind of like how we approached Tom. By the time we'd asked Tom, we'd had loads of these little ideas floating around, and you know, like this could be a song, but we'd pull them apart afterwards. So we'd have that. Then Tom wrote the vocals over the top. this is the new stuff, or if we've been done in the past, and then we'd like listen to it and be like, okay, cool. Now we've got the melody, top line melody on. Is like, is this part even needed, or do we need to put an extra repeat in somewhere to kind of make these lyrics work a bit better? So yeah, if we were, especially as we're talking, Sparkle and Greyscale have been kind of that process. So having the music, putting the lyrics on, and then going back and tweaking the music to kind of work with how the direction of the vocals have gone. But yeah, Tom's done all the lyrics and the ideas of that. We've shared some of the melodies, so we'd be like, oh yeah, we've got this riff here, and it could be this vocal melody. So some of the stuff that he's like gone, okay, and he's kept to what we want. But I kind of prefer now, now I've worked with him for a bit, not telling him anything, because he might take it, like likelihood is a cooler way where you don't expect it. And I think especially as if you're influenced in certain bands, you could end up doing like more of a pastiche, be like, oh, this guitar riff's influenced by this band, and if the way that I'm hearing it, because it's influenced by that band, I might do the vocal line influenced by that band as well. But he might come in and do a vocal line which takes it in a totally different direction that I don't expect. And at first you'll be like, oh, but you know, that's the kind of cool thing about the music. And then that makes it, you know, us, because it's all the people working together. And similarly with guitar stuff, sometimes you know, Chris and I will come together with one guitar part, and then the other guitarist will come and change it up. But it depends on how far we get into writing a song. Some of these songs, like we will like lock ourselves away and spend 2 or 3 days recording it and meticulously putting it together, and then there's a bit more done than others. But yeah, and again, same with the bass and the drums, like Carl and Andy will take what we've done in the program thing, and then, you know, put their own twist on it and make it theirs, make it a little bit more flavorful.
Nice. I mean, I had a question obviously that was more designed for Tom, but I don't know how much you are a part of this process lyrics wise. Are the songs more personal? Are they more story based? Are they political? Like, what sort of avenue have you gone down, and what's like the inspiration behind them?
I mean, like, hugely political, and there's a lot of personal input there from Tom as well. And one of the things, there's very talented songwriters in Almeida, his previous band, and actually he wasn't a primary songwriter, so he was kind of given he was given stuff to really, really great songs to sing, and he was, you know, like, he was just like, he wasn't necessarily writing the lyrics or the melody as much. He'd have input, but yeah, there was a primary songwriter in his band. So when he came to Darko, and we were like, can you write something over the top of some music, but you've got basically free reign of melody and lyrics, he was just like, oh wow, I haven't done this for like a band. So, which surprised me, because he's incredibly versatile and technical singer. But yeah, so in that case, we kind of let him have free reign a bit, which was exciting. And then, you know, as I said before, with melodies, gave him some ideas. But yeah, lyrically, especially as we had just come out of lockdown, he had some pent up anger and things to say. And yeah, there's more stuff on our socials. He's like, in each song we go into, and it's better coming out of his mouth than mine. But yeah, hugely political. I mean, like, the first song on the ladder is you know, really nitpicking the punk scene and saying, you know, everybody's aware of things that need to be done, but things need to be done more to stop misogyny and move forward for a more diverse and safer space. I think that's, like, in music altogether, like, it's nice to think that there's some really positive stuff happening, but there's always more that can be done. So all marginalized groups, whether it be gender or race or whatever group that is, they feel welcome and they can enjoy the music as much as a white cis man. And also the song looks into the fact that, yeah, it might be ironic coming from 5 white guys, you know, shouting about this, but you know, that's just the reality of it. I mean, that's what we're here, we're playing music, but we still want the scene to be diverse. So that's a very important one. And there is, yeah, I mean, the various ones about politics and the atrocities that are happening in the you know, in government, and an angry voice behind that. So yeah, as I said, we put pretty open to sharing that on Instagram, and the lyrics and breakdown of the lyrics, so you can find more about that on our Instagram and Facebook page, because Tom can put it much more eloquently than I can.
You got the message across fine, don't worry. You know, we get it. But you're right, though. It's important that people talk about this, and you know, the fact that you're going out there and saying everyone's welcome. It's important for people to hear that message, and the fact. So, you know, absolutely beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So let's talk about the Greyscale. It's been out for a couple of weeks now. What has the reception been like from the fans?
So far, I think very positive. It was definitely, as I mentioned before, we grouped our songs together, and I was really pleased with how Sparkle came out. Both Sparkle and Greyscale, we recorded with our friend Will Duff, who used to play in bands, who played alongside Darko. So he knew the band before he's known us for years. So I think working him as a producer just really worked in synergy with the way we were going. So rather than going into a studio and somebody just press and record, he helped develop that sound. So the first EP that we worked with him was with Tom, and then so this was the second. So he'd kind of like tested the waters, knew that it worked, but like tried stuff out with Sparkle, and then Greyscale. It just seemed to, like, when we were putting it together, there was hardly any questions asked. It was just like, how do we want it to sound? All right, let's do this. As soon as we were tracking, we were like, yeah, he's getting it. You know, he was getting the sound for us. But it was like super angry, super aggressive, way more hardcore, way more metal than we were always erring on that side. But yeah, we kind of went balls out per se for this one. And yeah, it's I think people have really enjoyed it. I mean, yeah, we've had lots of positive stuff, and we were fortunate enough to be out in Canada for the release. So we were playing 16th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, or 18th. So that's like around the release of Greyscale. And we, you know, like standing in Quebec City or, you know, Montreal, playing in front of a crowd on the other side of the world, but people singing along to the single. So yeah, they've been out for a bit longer than the EP, but you know, people still sing along, which is mad, because yeah,
awesome.
it feels very humbling. So in that respect, watching people singing along and, you know, like shaking the fist, you know, as you do at gigs, 2 brand new songs is really good feeling. So it must be doing something for some people.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier how the feedback to Sparkle was a bit different, because obviously people getting used to Tom and being a new singer and whatnot. Has that sort of gone away now, and people are like, fuck yeah, bring me the new stuff, I'm loving this?
Yeah, I think so. I think, yeah, I felt there was a bit of pushback from, like, there's always going to be, you know, like, that's the especially if you're on YouTube or anything with the comment system now, you could put a video up which is harmless and you're not trying to do anything, you know, out of a band, or anybody who puts content up, there's somebody trolling to say something negative. But it kind of was a nice feeling I hadn't realized how many people actually cared about our silly little band until we shook things up a bit. And then we upset a few people saying, oh, right, you've changed it. Maybe, you know, like, who they won't ever see us, or they, you know, they won't get any more music with Dan singing. So it's nice to know that Dan was appreciated. But there was loads. I think it's, you know, when you get used to hearing something, and if you're a fan of a band or whatever it is in a certain way, change is a bit off-putting. unless you're ready for it. So but yeah, I think Sparkle was more progressive than our previous, like, fast punky stuff anyway. So it was yeah, there's a bit more mix, whereas Greyscales is like in your face, angry, still going from where we left off, and yeah, the people is kind of have it, take it or leave it. It's interesting, that some of the more political side of things in the in the subject matter has shaken people up on either side of the fence as well, but that's kind of good. We want people thinking about it and talking about it, and if they don't listen to our music because it's saying something they don't agree with, then I don't think that's a problem, because we're saying stuff that we believe in. So yeah, I think overall positive. It's going in a way that people are like learning what to expect. So yeah, fingers crossed. This again, as I said, the third one hits as hard.
Yeah, and when you released singles like you released Built on Broken Backs, Aggro, and Why Can't Be, how did you decide on like what singles to release? To release as singles, because obviously with it being a 5-track, it's like, well, what should we put out there for people to go, probably for to punch people in the face with?
Yeah, it's interesting that you should say that, because it wasn't an easy decision, and especially with Sparkle, we'd done literally every single song. There's only 4
Okay.
songs. 4 songs on Sparkle, but one of them's like 7.5 minutes. So the first song we released after like 5 years of not releasing a song was 7.5 minutes, and that was our first single. So if anybody's like, what do you release as a single track? Not many people go, oh, the 7.5 minute song.
We're back, bitches.
But yeah. But just the way that things are absorbed now, the way that music is absorbed now, the reality of it is that if we released that EP all in one go, some of the tracks might have got lost. Like you have to keep reminding people. So releasing track by track just makes sense to get much more longevity out of EPs, especially. But even if they were both together as one album, which was an option, we would have still needed to do it that way. I just think otherwise you release the album and then it goes away and everybody's done. So Sparkle was in order of the tracks on the record, which kind of worked out. And then when Greyscale came out, it took us quite a while to put the rest of it together, because we had recorded it, and then obviously there was a year in between the two, and we just was like really thinking about what we wanted to do with it and how we wanted to deliver. But it's just, once we had got the final masters back, sitting down, and I think, as you said, what was the one that punched you in the face? And we like trying to do ones that people I think it was just like what you'd expect to hear, but the ones that maybe hooked people in. So I think, What I Cannot Be was short, and short one, aggressive, straight to the point. And that hit hard, and it's fast, and it happened. So it's just like, bam, we're back. This is angry. It kind of, I feel like it's a strong message. It's the sound of the EP. It's not too much to take in one go, and it just comes in. And then we did Aggro again, similar vein, but with a few more twists and turns in it, and Built on Broken Backs, a bit more straight and fast, but like each one kind of, I felt like, had a few more twists and turns, and then leaving the Orcs 2 and Lowest Hanging Fruit for the EP, which are more, I feel like there's more going on in those songs. Not that more as in they're better per se, but there's a lot more going on, so it's kind of like more to digest. So as a single, I feel like they're a bit more like, sit down with the record and listen to it a couple of times and let it grab hold of you there. Whereas the first ones were like, hey, these hit hard, and what's going on. That's what you're getting. But yeah, there's multiple different options. I don't think any were right or wrong, but it just felt like that worked for the time. Also really what we were playing live. I felt some of them came into the rehearsal room a lot more natural. Or we felt like, you know, what I kind of we were playing. I think we had been playing it already, so like it makes sense to release this first because it's already in the set. Same with aggro, we'd put it into the set. We were happy with how it was sounding, so that also was a big factor as well. Whether we felt like we wanted to do a little bit more work on it and make it, you know, stronger live.
So do you have a particular favorite track off the EP, or is that like picking your favorite child?
No, I don't think I do. It changes as due to the fact that I was like kind of put together some of the video content and the other side of things. I listened to the same track and the same little bits of the track, and you know, even after a year after recording the EP and then just putting video together and just trying to synchronize up bits and listen to it again and again, and then you just be like, oh my god, this thing's getting spinning around in my head. So sometimes, you know, these riffs start meaning nothing, or but I'm not sure. I get like, I think Orcs 2 is one of the good examples of ones that a riff that I'd written and I hadn't expected Tom to go full death grunt on it, and that's the one that comes in like, that was the first Darko song full stop that comes in, and it's got like the guttural death scream in it, and I just remember him demoing it and just be like, oh, and then are we gonna do this? And then we're just like, actually, do not fuck it, because nobody's expecting that. We were doing the shouty, we were doing the hardcore, we were doing the singing bit, but we haven't gone full on, you know, that. So that was really exciting because I hadn't expected, I never heard that over that riff. It makes sense, but you know, because it was Darko and we'd never done it before, that was like a twist. So like, I like the ones where Tom's done stuff, and like there's some mad stuff in Lowest Hanging Fruit as well, where he's taken influences from Sixth and Mikey and Justin from Sixth, and they're like he's talking to himself in it and doing loads. He can do loads of different voices, but one after the other, and live as well. He somehow manages to do it. It's just mind blowing, really. But yeah, massive Sixth influences in some of this as well, which is what we've had. We haven't executed maybe very well, but you know, I've been a huge Sixth fan for the entirety of Darko, and you know, like although we were playing in a punk band, that sort of band was just like hugely influential. So yeah, it's fun when he brings that to the table, and you're just like, yeah, it's just exciting to still hear.
And one thing we love to discuss a musician on this show is music videos. Are you a fan of making music videos, or do you absolutely fucking hate making music videos?
I like creating. I think this is something my girlfriend said as well, because I complain about it, because I've made many music videos for my own bands and for other bands. So I'll complain about it, but I keep going back and doing it, so I must enjoy it. So putting the music video, and I think, you know, we live in a world, just as I was saying with the singles, because stuff's coming out with a single, and the way that people absorb music and get attract, you know, like we're constantly scrolling, the sad reality of it. So how does a song catch our attention? Is the music video, or at least a video clip. It might be like a small clip that grabs you. So yeah, it's intense, because you've done all the creative process of creating an EP, and you're a band and you're doing the music side. But I think then it gets to the music video, and you're just like, what are we gonna do? Music videos with storylines, I think, could be very polarizing for fans, like cheesy, or maybe it becomes epic. And you know, like high budget music videos with like storylines could sometimes carry, but you know, if you have like these heavy bands and it's essentially a love story in it, and that's fine. It works for some people, but as I said, it could be both. You'd be like, oh God, what are they doing and why are they doing that? So we've kind of, maybe chicken out choosing whether to do a storyline and just done loads of like, here is us in a room playing the song. But I've always had the feedback that when people watch Darko live, it's quite fun to watch because Carl's got a big beard. He's like jumping around everywhere. Like there's technicality in the instruments where you kind of want to keep looking around to see what people are doing. So, it's not so bad doing a playthrough video, but it does get, there's, as a band, we're just like, well, how many times can we do this? And is that creative? But yeah, I mean, we did a first lyric video for Orcs 2, which, what's the date today? Was out last week or something. Again, lyric videos don't hit as hard than full videos, but is what it is really. It's something visual to promote the music. In the past, we've had a lot of fun with it. I mean, like in 2014, we all dressed as cricket players to take the piss out of the fact that we were a Surrey-based band, and then we terrorised Guildford High Street dressed as cricketers. So if you hadn't seen that one, Blast from the Past, that's Atlas to Atlantis. But I feel like we were a bit, we were happy to be way more tongue-in-cheek at that point, and it was fun, and it works for that. But that's, I feel like that kind of vibe isn't where we're going with the newer stuff, but I really enjoy the fact that we did do it. And one of the previous ones as well, we dressed as Power Rangers.
Oh,
And then made it. What's the robot where they all joined together?
Megazord.
Megazord, that's the one. Yeah. So we like built a box Megazord, and so that was in the company of wolves. Actually, when we were on tour once, we all got the Megazord helmet tattooed as a tattoo. Phenomenal. As well. That video, and then again, like that sort of video, I think is fun. It's characteristic. It just it looks low budget as fuck, but it was like a fun way where we were like in a room and we had a green screen and we like we just had a little bit of fun with it, because we knew it would be beneficial to make a music video, but we didn't want to be too serious about it. And just so yeah, that's music videos. I don't know if I love them, but I see the point in them. So try and make the best.
I think necessary evil is probably the word to use.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, if you've got a budget that goes through the roof, then you can do whatever really. And there's been some. I mean, or if you've got really creative ideas, some bands have done amazing videos on a shoestring. Some look like they'd been done for the sake of it, and again, that's it. Like our YouTube channel is packed full of videos. Some of them are crap, some of them are okay, but it's another way of getting music out there for people.
So I thought Aggro was a fucking banger. That was like the standout song for me on that EP. Absolutely incredible. But I also loved The Ladder as well from Sparkle. So like those two tracks just really massively stood out, and I absolutely loved them. But when it comes to track listing the EP, how would you decide on what goes where?
It's kind of like the similar answer to the singles, where I might just talk for about half an hour and actually not question. I'll try and keep this one because actually Chris is very good at Chris, the other guitarist from Darko. He's very good at that, at spending a little bit of time. I think in both cases he's kind of like sat with it, all the tracks put in a music player playlist, and just sat back and like listened to them, and then sometimes sometimes we would have played them in the set, as I said before, or we definitely played both EPs before we recorded them, song to song, and and then we'd perform them live. When you're performing them live and you're still kind of getting them under your fingers, or it's hard to really hear how that's sounding and how the connections are sounding. So it some of them, we felt like we knew that one song was going to go into the other, but the final order was he would kind of come with a pretty solid idea, because he had spent the time rearranging them and going, I think it should be this, and then we discuss it, maybe move one around. But he's been pretty good at just being like, I've tried it every single way, and I feel like this is the one that has the flow. And this is the one that tells the story the best as well. At both times, once we kind of had that idea as well, it's easier to put any more of the I guess effects in there. So especially at the end of Sparkle, I mean, like, coming in with the ladder was, again, bold idea. It was going to be first single. It was 7.5 minutes straight in with that song. So if the person listening to the EP doesn't like a long song, they're immediately put off. But it was just Bangers is one of my favorite tracks that we've ever done. And it's just intense. It just carries on going. And I always thought that it was just going to be a joke. Like, when we got to that length, we were just like, it's never going to be that. We're going to chop it up. It's going to be a couple of songs, or it's going to go in the bin, because it's so many up together. And Tom just immediately was like, this is sick. Here we go. Here's the voiceover. And we're like, oh, this is happening then. This is happening. So that was like, that's how we saw it. But then, quite as the ending of Sparkle, I just think is beautiful. And then it also contains the lyrics, Sparkle fades to Greyscale, which was a kind of like connection. So Sparkle fades to Greyscale is the lyric in is where Sparkle title comes from and Greyscale title comes from. And there's going to be some connection to the last EP as well, which I'm not going to give away, because also I don't even know if we're going to fully go with it, but we've got an idea of how that's going to tie all together as well from those. But the last song on Greyscale is Lowest Hanging Fruit. There we kind of like reversed it here. So the longest track on Greyscale is the last one, but it kind of, I feel like, Greyscale definitely takes you on a journey, and it comes in fast and aggressive, and then it, like, you're into Lowest Hanging Fruit, which is still keeping up, but by the time you get to the end of Lowest Hanging Fruit, it's got a reference to Sparkle in music wise. So the very last riff of Lowest Hanging Fruit is actually the same chord sequence and lead line as in Cruel to Be, which is track 2. I don't even know. You're saying, how do we come up with the track listing? But I don't know. Cruel to Be from Sparkle. It's just slightly different tempo, but it's exactly the same. But
that's amazing.
It's a nod to that. So if you hadn't noticed that and you've been listening to it, to anybody who's listening, then that, try and pick out where in Cruel to Be that is. But it's the same, and that's fun to do because it works. It doesn't sound like I feel like it doesn't sound like we've just chopped a bit of Sparkle and put it at the end of Greyscale for the sake of it. It feels like that's the part of the song, but it's referencing each other.
That is genius. That's so clever.
But I mean, again, is influenced by a lot of bands who've done it a lot, a lot more in depth, and we just wanted to have little nods, especially as we're splitting these songs up into different releases, having this narrative, but also a narrative musically and lyrically that tie it together to still make it feel like one coherent journey rather than 3 EPs which don't have any relevance to each other. It's fun to kind of think about that whilst you're doing it.
You briefly mentioned it. How was Canada?
Fantastic. It was our second time. We've done a couple of tours with a band from Calgary called Belvedere, and they've taken great band, great guys.
Love Belvedere.
Yeah, we were both share the same UK label, Lockjaw Records. But yes, Steve's really kind of took us under his wing and gave us some really good opportunities. And we met actually on the Japanese tour. So it's Almeida, Belvedere, and Darko. Belvedere headlining, and we're both touring with them, and then got on really well. So yeah, after when we finally could tour again, Belvedere took us out we've been to Europe many times, but we were supporting them in Europe, and then Steve was just like, "I will get you over to Canada as well." So yeah, I heard some with Eastern Canada tour. By the time we actually got out there, because we were meant to go in 2020, we were about three years later. We were working with a Canadian label, Thousand Island Records, who were releasing fantastic records. Very, very lovely couple, Cynthia and Bruno, who are running it. Yeah, great label. So they're based in just outside Montreal. So yeah, we've been they released Sparkle and Greyscale, and the singles in between. So they've been pushing us out there. So it kind of like really helped get the name out there before we got there as well. So it wasn't just, like us trying to say, "Hey, Canada, we're coming." We had a fantastic support network there already kind of shouting about us. So yeah, the first time we went to Canada, we supported Belvedere in Eastern Canada, which is actually the opposite side of Canada to where they're from, but a good place to tour because a lot of the places are close together. And the thing about Canada is it's huge, and you could end up spending 10 to 20 hours getting from city to city if you try and go through the middle. But Ontario and Quebec is a bit more like Europe, where you can do a reasonable tour without, spending days and days without a show. So yeah, this was our second one. We kind of did a tour for Sparkle, so this one was the tour for Greyscale, and yeah, brilliant. Only 5 shows, but all really, really great fun. Played with some great bands, saw some old friends, made some new ones. So 100% will do it again. I'm looking forward to booking another one when we get the third EP out. So
That's awesome. But
recommend visiting Canada if you ever get the chance as well.
It's my dream destination. I've always wanted to go there. So yeah,
brilliant.
It's definitely on top of my list. But regarding future shows, I believe I only saw announced Vegan Camp out in Bicester and Handfest in Leeds. Did I miss something else, or is it just those two at the moment?
Yeah, we're taking, well, as I said, because we were pretty much going straight from releasing Greyscale into wanting to finish this third EP, we went into kind of like studio mode again. So quiet on the gig front. However, we've got some key dates, but yeah, like Vegan Camp Out, which actually is going to be fun to play because the first show that we ever played with Tom was Vegan Camp Out in 2021. Great festival, obviously not hugely music based, but they've got a very diverse lineup of music, but yeah, we seem to go down very well, and it's nice being the heaviest band on the bill a lot of the time. Handfest with Random Hand, that's going to be really good. Couple of days in Leeds. We played the London version of Handfest last year, which was the aggro video. So that's looping in with music video ideas. I knew that we had to do a music video for aggro, so I got a few people to take some video of us playing aggro at Handfest, and there we have the aggro video, which was a nice blag, so it didn't mash up a live event. So we have to play live, and then we got it all recorded. And then we're actually playing the 29th of this month. I don't know when this podcast is coming out.
Next Friday.
Okay, brilliant. Yeah, 29th of June this month is Signature Brew Haggerston, which is a Lockjaw Records all-day record fair with a huge lineup. So it's going to be Darko headlining. We're going to use it as like a celebration for Greyscale because we haven't done a London show as like an EP launch. So we're going to have the EPs there. But that's we've got One Fall and Oh the Humanity over from Massachusetts. Wonderful singer Helen actually sang The Ladder with us when we were in Pousa Fest in Montreal. We didn't even know she was going to be in Montreal, but yeah, she very awesomely got up on stage and sang La Ladder with us when we were there. So very likely that's going to happen again in London as they're playing. So I'm really excited to see Wonderful and Oh the Humanity. I think both bands will recorded their records with Trevor Riley from Wilhelm Scream as well, which is sick. So that's great. False Advertising are playing. They're based in Manchester on Alco Pop Records, great band. Fair Dues from Manchester. Shreddy Skate Punk, another banger. Can't wait to see those guys again. And then Erotic Secrets of Pompeii are playing. Tape It Shut, Our Lives in Cinema, another couple of great bands. And then there is definitely one more which I will not shamefully forget, but I'm just gonna try and Arizona Law is the other one. And they're all the booked bands, and I think so it's an all day basically. Punk rock all day, loads of bands. Records, Signature Brew, so great beer, happy days. That's the 29th of June. Another gig wise, nothing set in stone. Probably get out in the fall or something, do some couple of shows there. But as I said, really want to wrap up this, as this is like the third EP in the collection. Just want to make sure that this is a killer one as well, and then get back out and do some shows in the new year.
Amazing. I love it. Like we've just released this EP. Fuck it, let's get in there. Let's get the third one done. Like it shows the passion. Like you're just like, I just want to get this done now. I'm enjoying this. Let's go.
And I think the excitement of like the just, this is definitely going to be the third one is going to be the last one in the collection. So whilst we're fresh off the back of this, the concept's still exciting, and I don't want to sit on it for too long and just be like, going to get it'd be great to play some more shows, but you can end up touring for the whole summer, burning out, and then not wanting to go into the studio for 2 years or whatever. Probably not, but we just want to just get, whilst we're in the studio mode and writing mode, just keep it going for a bit.
We'll go in the studio, record this, then we'll tour until we're sick of seeing each other, and then we'll have a break.
That's it.
So, just for people that are listening to this and they're going, I like the sound of this guy, I want to hear some more of his music. If you were to suggest like 2 or 3 Darko songs from your back catalogue for people to go check out, give a good representation of the band, what would they be for you?
Well, I mean, representation of the band now, you've got, I mean, listen to, you can listen to the whole of Sparkle and the whole of Greyscale. But I think, I mean, we've got there 9 songs, but really, I think, brought it up before, it wouldn't do bad, like to just smash out Aggro and then the Ladder for the new stuff. But if you're going further back, you've got the 2017 album Bonsai Mammoth. Something like what we're playing now from it is Live Forms, which we actually recorded a live version at Signal House Studios. So that is more video content as well, actually. Again, the live version. Live Forms is one of the older tracks, but we've reimagined it with actually Carl doing more vocals, so our bass player doing split vocals. He's doing a lot of vocals on Aggro actually, but he's taken some of the vocals from Live Form, and Tom and him do shared vocals on that when Dan used to do that. So Live Forms from Bonsai Mammoth, Just a Short Line from Bonsai Mammoth, and then going further back to like 2014 EP. I mean, it seems to be a fan favorite, but Timepieces and Lock-Shaped Hearts, that always goes down at gigs really well, and it was definitely the song that we wrote back then that, you know, if we took it out of the set, people are going to start throwing bottles at us, I think. So it's a pop punk one, and it's just, yeah, it's a fun song to play. It's a nice song to listen to. So that was always a good one. Timepieces and Lock Shape Heart. Oh, Atlas to Atlantis for the cricket video. If you want to watch us dressed as cricketers, always worthwhile. The video is actually, that was 2000. When was that? Atlas to Atlantis, about 2014. But the videographer there was Ben Pollard. And Ben Pollard actually did the whole of the Sparkle, all the Sparkle videos for us, like years later. And he did What I Cannot Be video with us as well. So he's a really, really great videographer. And yeah, old friend of ours. So that's fun. What else we got? Oh, and Neo was an amateur. If you want to go even further back, and I wouldn't recommend anything off the 2010 EP because it's okay, but
Gotta start somewhere.
I was about to say, you got to start somewhere.
yeah, we only keep. I like to keep it up because it's deep cuts. You know, if you're a fan of music and I used to like going on LimeWire and find the bootleg versions of the Behemoth songs and just being like, whoa, look at. This is the worst recording ever, but I mean, it's not the worst recording ever, but yeah, you know, you'd find ones of like one mic in a practice room and you'd be like, this is a super rare recording of them. And I just collected music like that for a while. So yeah, yeah, you got to, as you said, you got to start somewhere, and it's interesting for people who want to listen to, but I wouldn't spend an evening going back there in a rush.
How do you think you've evolved musically and personally since Darko started?
Ooh. I feel like
Totally stumped you.
Yeah, that's a good. I feel like that's a good question, and almost too good for me to answer. That's yeah. No, it's an interesting one because I feel the way when I very first started Darko, I mentioned Sixth before. Protest the Hero is another influence. A Wilhelm Scream, Propaganda. A lot of Canadian bands actually, but yeah, Sixth being a main one. For example, Sixth is a good example of like when we first started. I love Sixth, and I'd be like, love to see that as an influence. Still nowhere near as good as them. Not saying that, but I feel like the music we're writing now is closer to that than it ever has been, and it's almost like the longer I've done it, the closer I am to getting to the goal that I had originally, which was a ridiculous goal as a site, but I'm actually starting to be like, well, okay, I've played in Japan, I've played out in Canada, and the tracks that we're recording, I'm starting to think, I mean, as a musician as well, like anything that I record, I listen back to and be like, oh, could have done that better, or like, no matter what. Whereas Sparkler Greyscale was just, I don't know, I'm starting to feel like, that's not bad, really. Maybe it's because I'm getting old and I'm just like, I think I'm just, yeah, it's starting to get as you know, closer to where I wanted it to sound. I had like a dream of when we first started playing in Darko of like, oh, it could be this, this, and this, and we'd record and be like, okay, that's okay, but it's not what it's not what I'm aspiring to, but you know, it's what the band is now. And I think that's, you know, like we're lucky enough to play with, we've known Tom for years. He's the newest band member, but we've known him since 2011. But yeah, Chris and I have been playing in the band together since, you know, pushing 20 years. Played with Andy and Carl for years and years now. And, you know, we've always been in the DIY scene. So it's never, you know, we never had that peak and just like, oh, right, fuck it, we hate each other now. I just feel like, you know, we could push ourselves, and the guys are writing great music, and it's challenging. You know, like learning how to play Greyscale was a fucking pain in the arse, and it was ages of just been like, Jesus Christ, actually, and even just like relearning it after put it back in the set is just like a pain in the ass. But that's cool. I mean, and although sometimes I feel like maybe that could put some people off when you're playing live and you're just like, oh God, they're just playing for themselves. I do enjoy writing a song that, you know, challenges me to become a better musician. So yeah, to answer your question, I think like by doing that every time we write a record is challenging, and sometimes maybe that challenging is like it doesn't sound as technical, but I'm going to do a bit more backing vocals and the guitar part's just a bit weird to try and do that, and you know, like pushing it rather than just being like, hey, here's a song that naturally I wrote in a couple of minutes, it's catchy, but I can do it. I just have a tendency to want to sit down for ages and be like, is this hurting my fingers? Do my ears want to fall off now? All right. And I feel like it's almost like shared in that way. That's where we've all got to. And like Tom's just like, I can't just sing this melody. I want to do this with it, and I just want to, you know, try this inversion or whatever, and it just becomes exciting. Maybe just for us, but you know, and that's why I still want to do it though. It doesn't become, it's never repetitive, the twists and turns. And you know, Sparkle came out and it's much different for Greyscale that's come out, and the third one's going to be different as well, because we always try new things, and it's still fast hardcore. I'm not claiming we're reinventing the wheel, but you know, each one has its own little voice, I think.
No, incredible. Absolutely incredible. I love it. And finally from me, when you first started Darko, when you first met at ACM, did you ever think that you would have got to where you are now, having played near enough all over the world, and having all these records out, and still, even with the pandemic and everything and changing singers and everything, that you'd still be here today?
No, absolutely not. I guess I probably, by the time I was at ACM, I was hoping that I would be a musician because I'd started a musical course. I think like give it a year or so before, yeah, I wouldn't have believed you, but you know, at ACM, I don't know, yeah, there was always a chance that we could have just played, or I don't think I would have even when we had started Darko, I don't think people say like, why is that the one, the band? It was just like, it was always the one when everybody wanted to carry on playing and or touring. Like I was playing different styles of music, but Darko were the ones, you know, that was the band where the punk scene and the DIY scene just really drew me in, and we made friends in it, and you know, like friends who then joined the band 10 years later, you know, and it's been it's been really fun being part of that, and all the punk scene over the world really, and meeting different people, and that probably does exist in other scenes as well, but that's just the band that I ended up in. I could have, you know, been, as you were surprised at the beginning, I could have played saxophone and met somebody who's really good upright bassist and a pianist, and then maybe gone into the jazz scene. I mean, it would have been a lot more work maybe, because jazz is pretty mental to play, but it's just interesting that it was the four guys at the time who were still willing to just, you know, spend their weekends, spend their evenings just playing the same music, and you know, using up our work holiday to go on these tours and stuff. So yeah, no, I didn't. Yeah, I probably wouldn't have believed it.
Incredible, but you've done it, and it shows because of the passion and the hard work you guys are putting in. And as you said, keep on going. It's absolutely incredible answer.
Thank you very much. Yeah, well, hopefully, yeah, we've got a good few years, good decade left in us at least. Well, I don't want to put a time in it, but yeah.
Rob, this has been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time out to talk to us today. I really, really appreciate it.
No problem. Well, thanks very much. It was great to meet you guys.
Yeah. Before you go though, any plugs, social medias, anything you want people to go and check out?
I will. I don't know if you. I don't even know what the social medias of the. If you dare to go into the holes that are the social media accounts, the terrible places. Facebook.com/Darko band. Instagram is /Darko_band. You are very likely to find Darko US, who are an incredible, extremely heavy electronic version, not even a version of us. I don't know why I said that. Basically, they started in 2020, and it's one of the guys from Immure, one of the guys from Chelsea Green. Incredible band, but hugely popular because of the guys' previous bands. And a lot of people get confused with us. So we have been offered very, very large American tours by accident. I saw an email once and I was like, oh my God, this is great, guys, wait. And then I'm like, oh, wait. Oh no, I see what's happened here. It's 30-day tour across America. We want to offer you this, like in a nightline. I was just like, yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah.
You expect it to be us, do you? But yeah, so it's Darko, Darko band or Darko_band, and you're looking for the one with probably a few less followers, but the caterpillar eating the apple. And yeah, give it a follow because we might get up to Darko US standard of
You've exceeded.
and then yeah, if you like music videos, then there's a YouTube one as well. But now you know my view on music videos.
Yeah.
I can't remember it. No. Probably Darko band.
People will find it. We'll link them to it. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, brilliant. I'll have links in the bio.
Yes, link in the bio. Absolutely.
And if you're around London on the 29th of June, it's going to be an awesome day. And as I said, we were celebrating Greyscale release. So yeah, come on down, have a beer.
Yeah, Rob, thank you so much for your time this evening, my friend. Absolutely love chatting to you. It's great to meet you, and we wish you all the success going forward with all the shows. And if you're ever around in the area, I'll be down to see you. Don't you worry about that.
Yeah, no worries. Just yeah, if you see a show that you want to come to, please just let me know and I'll put you on the guest list or something. So just,
oh, you fucking babe. Thank you very much.
Keep an eye on the list. But yeah, keep in touch. It was great to chat to you.
Yeah, we shall. Don't you worry.
Absolutely will.
We absolutely will do. And have a wonderful evening.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers, fella. Take it easy. Bye bye.